I live right there, 221.
Oh, really?
It's one of the two smallest rooms in the...
Oh, yeah, we're in 321.
Is that, oh, you're... Hey, I feel like home. I'm Steven Lamprinos, and I came to downtown at first to work at 410 Boyd Street. It used to be Cocola's in the 80s. It was kind of the art hangout, and it was pretty hip, happening spot back then. It became a restaurant called 410 Boyd, and the new owners were very appreciative of its past history, so a lot of the same people came in there. So I was already somewhat immersed in the arts district and the downtown when I ended up having to move to the American Hotel. This would have been the summer of '94. I was living out in Silver Lake, and there was this ad in the downtown news, artist hotel. And I called it up. I'd already had a few drinks after work. It was probably like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And Toast, who was managing the hotel at the time, she said, "Come on down right now." I had been down to Al's Bar a couple times, seeing bands and such, so I knew the area a little bit, and I really liked it. And I come there, and Toast and I hit it off immediately. So she showed me a couple places. She showed me a bigger room up on the 4th floor. And she said, "You want to be on the 4th floor. The 4th floor is a little cooler." And it was probably like 400, 450 at the time, nothing. And she showed me this room on the 2nd floor, which was the tiniest room they have in the hotel. And it was $250. And I just started thinking, wow, this is great. I'm going to live in the American Hotel for, just a couple of months, and I'm going to save some money. I'm sure many people have said it, but the first person I heard say it was this painter, Richard Kessler. After a raucous night at the hotel, we were in his room like at 4 in the morning, and he just out of nowhere said, "I moved into the American Hotel for a couple of months, and I've been here 3 years." It's what happened. I mean, it's such an inviting place. There was this one night here, and I was with Richard Kessler, and there was this woman living here, Ruth, that she played a stand-up bass, and she was amazing. We'd get drunk and hammered, and there'd be these in-the-room shows at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and she's slapping the bass and singing songs, and it was crazy. It was chaos, but beautiful. That's what this place is like, especially back when Al's Bar was still around. I mean, the Amho had that feeling that anything could happen. You go, wow, I'm going to live in this little box. I'm not going to have a kitchen. I'm going to have to share a bathroom with 12 to 20 people, depending on the circumstances. And I love it. It's like a vortex here. You get sucked right into it. And you want to be part of every little dirty, grimy moment of it because it's a blast. For me, I was going to save money to start my own theater and, a place I could live and, great cheap rent. And I ended up just having this incredible 12-year odyssey at the Amho. Al's Bar is basically the living room of the Amho. Everybody would go there. It didn't matter who you were. You could be a lawyer, a city council guy, an artist, a musician, a homeless guy on the street. You'd come into Al's Bar and you'd be treated like family. And that was the great thing. It had that vitality to it, that noise. And it wasn't like, oh, here's a little band room and here's a little bar. Well, I can kind of escape from this vibe or this feeling of the bar here. No. Wherever you were at Al's Bar, you were in Al's Bar. It was a magical place. There was this 2-month period where everybody drank from the Budweiser bottle so we could save these bottle caps up. To get this foosball table, everybody played it. There'd be April Fool's Day tournaments. And I'd be in my room, and since I lived right above the bar, I'd hear everything that was going on. So after hours, all of a sudden you'd hear this, yeah, this noise. So I'd shimmy down the drain pipe, and I'd knock on the patio door, and they'd let me in, and there'd be like 10 people still playing foosball till like 3, 4 in the morning. It really brought people together as a regular habit. Healthy habit for once. Toast used to keep her equipment in the bar, her heavy bass cabinets and all that stuff. She was on the 4th floor. So she'd had a gig with the Labo Peeps, and coming back to return the equipment to Al's Bar, it was after hours, but they had let off those flea bombs and the ticks and all those sprays. They were bombing the place, and we were just exhausted. It was like 2:30 in the morning. We didn't want to haul the equipment up to the 4th floor, and that was like our only option for it. So we decided to just hold our breath and rush in there and try to put the equipment in as far away in as we could. And we both did it. We did it in one swoop. We came out and we immediately got outside and we're just vomiting in the streets in front of the bar. We were vomiting and laughing because we thought, well, we probably just took a year or two off our lives, but it was for the ammo, it was for Al's Bar, it was for rock and roll, so it's kind of worth it. My papu, which is Greek for grandfather, he lived down at Santa Monica and Vine in a residency hotel right above the Army Navy surplus store. He just moved back from Greece where he lived, and this is where he wanted to live. We're picking him up on Christmas morning to take him back to our house in Fullerton. My mom, dad, and I were walking up. My mom's freaking out because the neighborhood's sketchy. And we go through these like old doors and we go up to this elevator and it just creaks and it sounds like it's going to drop any moment. We got up to the top floor of this place and there was someone he was like retching at the end of the hall and throwing it up. My mom was just ghastly horrified. And I remember thinking, this is where I want to live. This is home to me. It kind of makes sense that I came in here for just a couple months. And I think if I hadn't gotten married, I probably would still be in my little box here at the AMHO. 12 years in the same teeny tiny room. And I tried many different incarnations of how to make it work. I lived across from the office. And that was always a hotbed of activity. There was these 3 child actors that lived here. They're all clean and sober now, but at the time they were like bad junkies. When Toast was no longer the manager here, it was a new management company. Sometimes the office would be open for like 1 hour a day. You had like 1 hour to be lucky and catch your mail. And so one of the child actors, he would take a stick, pull all the mail out under the door. He would look for his residual check, go get it cashed so they could score. So that was like some of the excitement of living across from there. The great thing about the AMHO is that at least once every 3 months, someone would go off their meds and there'd be this like 3-hour rant running up and down the hall where they're just like demons after them. And if you try to help them, you were part of the problem. You'd have moments like that. Sometimes even though they were bad, that's kind of what makes the AMHO what it is. It's a place of desperation and madness and fun. Dr. Don Jones, a true individual that I think that only a place like this could birth. I knew Dr. Don because I worked at 410 Boyd Street and Dr. Don Jones came in and he sold me some bad jewelry or something. But it's one of those things where like the owner, Tara Thomas, this is the guy. This is like an unofficial mayor of downtown. You have to know this guy. And so it was an honor to give Don Jones money on something that may have been like, what is this I'm buying? And he knew that I was doing that. That's the thing about Don. He was such a smart, sharp guy. When I moved in the hotel, then I got all the great stories. And I remember times like I'd come down and he'd be in his pajamas and robe and he'd be sitting at the bar. I remember, hey, Don, how's it going? He goes, it's going great. I just stuck an opium suppository up my ass. It doesn't get any better than that. And, and that's Don. I mean, the man was an adventurer. Him and Hope Urban, they were in the jungles getting tattooed out there. And he was a fearless guy like that, a guy that made you like take the chance, do something. Take the adventure. Don't sell your life short. This is it. You got the one ride here. And Don Jones had that. He knew it was his ride. I mean, hell, he was a train conductor, right? He used to collect tickets on the train. So he'd be up on his feet 3 days, going to Chicago, rocking. And I know Don, he was like nipping something, smoking something, taking something. And he definitely liked his substances. And I certainly did my fair share with Don Jones on him. So, it was a great time for all that stuff. We all kind of sit out on a little bit of a ledge. But he was really on a pretty big ledge. And he was a special character and a richer life having known someone like him. I had been running a theater in Orange County with a group of people, a revolving door. We were at the Tribune Theater. The LA Times called us Newt Gingrich's worst nightmare, that this flaming liberal theater troupe is in the heart of Orange County. When I was in LA living at the AMHO, that was one of the things that I really wanted to get invested in the neighborhood. The first people I started working with were the Wolfskill people, Paul Mackley, Mike Wiles, and they had done some great stuff at Spanish Kitchen, which was a little place around the corner. It was pretty chaotic little art gallery theater space. They did an Artaud piece there, Spurt of Blood, that was one of the greatest theater pieces I've ever seen. There was an amazing group of people in it, and it was just one of those plays they say, really, don't do it. But they did it, and they did it with just amazing energy. So I knew I wanted to get involved with them. I did some theater with them, which ultimately led to the drive-in play that Joel Bloom wrote, called Mayhem at Mayfield Mall. watched it from your car and listened to it through a radio while the actors performed on stage. And it became this huge phenomenon.
In the car-happy town of Los Angeles, the drive-in is making a comeback, but this time with a twist.
It was about toxic waste that was being spilled at the mall by the greedy developer, and it created this monster that was eating people. I mean, just as stupid and slapsticky as you can get, but it was a blast. People would honk their horns.
The play partly makes fun of people who would only go to see plays if it was made terribly convenient for them, but otherwise wouldn't bother to get off their sofa.
And we did it with the woman that owned Soul Folks, the little soul food restaurant that was connected to Bloom's General Store and was part of the AMHO, and amazing little place. Slow Folks is what most people called it, because it did take an awful long time to get any food there. But she had this great loft down on 7th Street under the bridge there. She had this great back lot, and we could get about 20 to 30 cars in there. And they had this raked stage, and it was all mic'd, and you listened to it through your car. Tamar Fort Gang did a great job with the PR. We ended up having local news channels, CNN, Showbiz Today, Good Morning America, People Magazine. And we did it so long that as it got later and later into the September as opposed to the summer, by the second act there'd be this incredible layer of dew on the stage. And on a rake stage, actors doing fast slapstick, there's a lot of people that ate it very hard. It looked good. People would honk their horn because, they were looking for blood. Rick Hudson and Joel Bloom produced it, and Alberto Mieres built the set. Backstage, there would be kegs, there would be whiskeys and beers and people smoking pot. I'm really one of those wimpy guys that doesn't like to do it, but for something about that show, that kind of fed the energy. So people that probably wouldn't normally take a nip during a play, took a nip during the play. By the end, I was playing the villain in it. J.C. Bullock, he was the developer who caused the toxic waste and was the, little mustache twirler guy. So it was a lot of fun. Later, they did a Marat Sade, a great version of it, really well done play, heavy play about the French Revolution. Doesn't translate into as much as people honking their horns. I think the drive-in drama really calls for, have a little fun. Let's be stupid, all right? That play wasn't the greatest play ever written, but it had a heart and a soul, and it was silly, and people had a blast. That's what it was about at the AMHO and Al's Bar. It was just different people coming together, try to create something that was fun and we could all enjoy. Out of that energy, it made me want to start doing a show at Al's Bar on a regular basis. I wanted to do theater in Al's Bar, and Toast was cool enough. She said, what do you want to do? I said, how about a monthly show, second Tuesday of the month cabaret? And that way I could make it anything. It could be short plays mixed with a band, mixed with dancers, performance artists. Hey, even though it was only once a month, sometimes it would get a little hectic. I had a host, King Kukulele. He used to play the ukulele, a little Hawaiian shtick. Really brilliant guy. He was a great host. I had a puppet, Snowden, so I would do a ventriloquist act and just, and bomb at that. I was really looking for material, and I decided I was going to do Krapp's Last Tape by Samuel Beckett. And it's an extremely difficult piece. It was way beyond my capabilities as an actor at the time. And that was probably one of the more well-attended shows because there was a lot of theater people that knew it was going to be a disaster, who just wanted to see me struggle. Paul Mackley, who ran Wolfskill, he said to me, that was really great at how horrible you were in that. and I was. That's what you could do at Al's Bar. You could fail spectacularly and still have a great night. Al's was closed on Monday nights, so I convinced Mark, let me do a full-length play on Monday night. I'll pay your bartender. We'll have a door guy work it. So he allowed me to do a full-length play called Roscoe Spitzer is Afraid of Dying by Joel Beers, about a folk singer and about artistic integrity that involves Prozac and Edgar Allan Poe. Now, it sounds all heavy and stuff. It was really a stupid, silly, fun musical with great, great songs in it. You always set it in the environment you're in. So the play took place in Al's Bar at Al's Bar. So the only thing that we kind of cheated on is we had Al's Bar cocktail waitresses, which I don't think I ever saw the entire time I was there. When I do something like that, I want to make it about the neighborhood. So I had like this poster making party, and like someone like Skip Arnold would come over and be on the floor. He made a poster for me. He made one. There was a lot of bad posters made that night, but I kept Skip's because Skip's a great artist. So I also got Rick Robinson, who worked at a billboard company at the time. He made this amazing giant billboard poster. But Carl Becker and I, we put it up at the top of the American Hotel and it had these heavy poles and we're tightening and we did it all, Carl Becker was really good at doing it. I came home from Boyd Street one day and it was this horrible windy day. And I get there and there is a fire truck out in front of the hotel, and there's an ambulance, and I see the banner with had these huge metal poles, and it's flapping in the breeze loose, unmoored from the building, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it speared someone, and I come running into Bloom's. I'm almost out of breath, and I'm going, did my sign hurt someone? Did my sign hurt someone? And no, it didn't hurt someone. The play was received really well. There's a line in it where Poe comes back and he's giving advice to this guy from the grave. And he's saying, I'm doomed to walk the eternal earth. He goes, it must be great, all these great artists you can talk to, all the great conversations you must have. He goes, we're artists. All we do is talk about ourselves. And I think everyone here understood that. I love Joe Bloom.
When I first started coming down here, there was a lot of action everywhere.
He is the quintessential Chicago guy. Smart, vicious wit. He could really just freak people out because you could come in there and ask the simplest question, can I get a pack of matches? And he would just, I'm not going to give you matches. What do you think? How am I still going to survive? Are you coming in? And you're like, oh, okay. Some people couldn't handle that, but there's a lot of other people that would just go back at him and have fun with it. Or just like, all right, well, I'll get the matches some other time, And just know that was who Joel was. He decided early on that I wasn't a bad guy. He goes, you're not too bad. And I was high praise. I wasn't too bad to Joel Bloom. One of the people in my life that I'm going to remember because he was just so selflessly dedicated to making this a better neighborhood. And he did. He did it every step of the way.
I think there can be a thriving arts community here.
Once you lose Al's Bar and you lose Joel Bloom, you lost what this community was about. What this neighborhood was at one time ends in those two things. When I got engaged, it was when I gave up my room in 2007. I always thought, it would be great if I could keep this. It would just be a kind of place that I could always touch down. It's the AMHO. It's not who you are. It's what are you going to bring in to share in the neighborhood. That's what we care about. It was a vibrant, kind of semi-dangerous place, but I loved it. I was sad to have to give up my space. And you got to have a strong fortitude to get to live in this small place and not go a little mad. Back then, you could kind of do what you wanted. I mean, we used to sit in front of Bloom's General Store, smoking pot and drinking beer on the corner, and there was never a problem with that. It's a little different now, but it's still downtown. You can't really completely clean up downtown. I don't want to be one of those guys, it was so great when I was here and it was so much better. You could have Alberto riding a car with flames shooting out it down Traction. You're not going to be able to do that again. When I first moved here, people would look and try to be friendly with me. Hey, how you doing? And now I come walking through this neighborhood and I feel a disconnect. They don't really want to be part of the neighborhood. They like living here and how hip they are and how cool they are living in downtown L.A., which means that you just drove the price up for this loft that when I was here, it cost $800 and now it costs $4,000. Well, at the same time, though, I'm glad there's better restaurants down here. There's vitality that's coming to this town. People like Art Share, they're trying to bridge that gap with that old-time Wild West to the new people. And I do have hopes, actually, that they're going to do that. I think about my time at the American Hotel. Everything I do is formed from this place. That's what the American Hotel is to me. If you were here and you gave yourself to the people and the events that were going around you, you probably inspired for the rest of your days.
Cut.